And good afternoon. We're back for one more show of Neighborhood News. And if you are watching us and it's not a Tuesday night, it's because you're watching a repeat show. Please tune in next Tuesday night, 7 o'clock, for a new show. Today, my co-host is not here. She had some other commitment that she could not cancel. But I'm in good company, and we're going to definitely do a great show tonight. For the Portuguese community, sejam bem-vindos para mais programa de notícias da sua vizinhança. É terça-feira, 7 horas da noite, nós estamos de volta com mais programa para si de notícias na sua vizinhança. Nós vamos começar a divulgar novo programa que vamos estrear muito em breve. Nós já estamos a ter algumas reuniões para isso, que vai ser programa em português. O canal 95 neste momento não tem nenhum programa em português, e eu fui abordado se eu queria ter essa responsabilidade de trazer programa português para a nossa comunidade portuguesa. Muito em breve nós vamos apresentar o nosso primeiro programa, portanto fique sintonizado. Hoje vamos ter, muita da nossa comunidade já conhece pela cara, pelo nome, era Helena Marques, agora é Helena DaSilva, mas nós vamos ter a oportunidade de conversar pouco com ela. Este programa é sempre transmitido através do YouTube, é transmitido também pelo Facebook, portanto sabe onde nos pode encontrar. Nós já estamos aqui há 4 anos, estamos celebrando 4 anos, talvez daqui a uns 2 meses, portanto as pessoas já estão bastante conhecidas com a nossa programação. Portanto, fique connosco. And today, to me, it's a very special day because we're going to talk a little bit about Portuguese community and immigration, and one of a center that in New Bedford that helps a lot of people on the Portuguese community. Elena, thank you for coming, and welcome to Neighborhood News.
Great, thank you for inviting me. Thank you for the invitation, and it's very appropriate, especially being the executive director of the Immigrants Assistance Center. I'm going to give you a little bit of background about the Immigrants Assistance Center. The Immigrants Assistance Center was founded in 1971 by members of the Portuguese American community. It was during a time in 1971 where a huge influx of immigrants from Portugal was settling in southeastern Mass, of course, Fall River, New Bedford in time. And so the group of Portuguese Americans decided that it would be a great opportunity, because of the challenges that these immigrants from Portugal were going to be having, they decided to establish the Immigrants Assistance Center. And our mission was to help immigrants overcome language, cultural, and economical barriers and help them integrate into the American way of life. That was our mission back in 1971. It is still our mission today. But in 1971 was for the Portuguese community. And even though we service groups from all ethnic groups, we see about 7,000 immigrants. We provide services to about 7,000 immigrants per year at the Immigrants Assistance Center. Our staff are all bilingual, bicultural. We speak fluent Spanish, fluent Portuguese, and fluent Cape Verdean Creole and French. But I would say the majority of our staff, half of our staff, which we have a staff of about 8, half of us speak fluent Portuguese, including myself, who was born in Madeira. I immigrated in 1971 when I was 10 years old. So when I started working at the Immigrants Assistance Center in 1983, I got a job because I could speak fluent Portuguese, and they were looking for a secretary. So, and I was going to college at night. So I started working at the Immigrants Assistance Center, and in 1996, I was promoted to the executive director's position, which I'm still there after all these years. It's going to be 32 years. And the Immigrants Assistance Center is celebrating our 45th anniversary this year. We're actually celebrating on April the 8th at the New Bedford Whaling Museum. So that's going to be really, we're very happy about that.
Before we started our show, we were just talking about some programs that you have there.
Yes.
And I would like you to elaborate a little bit on that, because I think we're going to have a good thing's going to happen out of this tonight, and I will tell you why. Go ahead.
Good. First of all, when I say that we provide services to 7,000 immigrants, we're talking about our programs. We have a case management program, which is called the Immigrant Program. So what happens is we have a lot of families and individuals that come in seeking our services. A lot of them have language barriers, and some of them have lost their jobs, or they're looking for employment. So they're coming in many times so we can help them meet their basic needs. So in other words, we do an assessment of exactly what is happening in their family, financially, and then we help them connect them to programs that's going to help their financial hardship. So we do a lot of them with families and individuals, and so that those families many times are living. Sometimes we deal with cases that are maybe a substance abuse problem, or they might be a domestic violence problem, or alcoholic problem. So there's all of these challenges that these families are facing. So they come in for our assistance, and we're able not only to refer, but many times we're able to help them navigate through certain programs. So that's one of the programs we have. Our elderly program, which is it's a huge program, which I would say that we have a senior coordinator. She's also a SHINE counselor, which means a SHINE counselor means that she's a certified SHINE counselor, which she's very much aware of all the different changes that are happening with healthcare. So what happens, it's very important, especially with our elders, many times, especially with our Portuguese elders that we're seeing, even though they've been here for many, many years, a lot of them immigrated during dictatorship. So many of them never had the privilege or the opportunity to get an education. So we still have clients at the center that do not know how to write their names, and they do a little cross and we acknowledge. We also have a large percentage of our elders that have a third grade education or less. That population, even though they've been here for many, many years, they unfortunately still need our assistance in helping them, reading letters, giving them information, helping them navigate through programs. And sometimes what we're finding with our elders is many of them are just coming. We're seeing about 250 of them per month. Some of them are coming 2 or 3 times or 4 times per month. And because they come in and then they forget, and then a lot of them are widows, and there's all of this, they have a lot of anxiety. So we have a large population of our Portuguese elders that are going through these challenges. And one of the things I also wanted to mention is in 2014, when the city, our building, we're in the same building as the Portuguese Library, Casa da Saudade, but that is a city-owned building. So about in November of 2014, the city put in an elevator in our building. Once they put an elevator, we decided it would be a great opportunity to create a social program for our Portuguese elders that is very culturally centered. So Maria Pereira, who has done many of these groups in churches, she's been doing these groups for many years. I approached her and I told her it would be a great opportunity to have a social group because of what was happening with our Portuguese elders. So she's been extremely supportive. So she basically created the group at the center as a volunteer basis. And now we have 45 elders that signed up for the group. They come on Tuesdays from 11 to 3:30, 4 o'clock, and they play cards, they crochet, they knit, and they also have art lessons. And so everything is done very culturally centered, and it's done by them. We ask them what they wanted. And some of the elders showed very interested in learning basic computer skills. So I had gotten a small grant. I applied for a small grant to buy laptops. And so we were able to, through Bay Coast Bank, I have to mention they supported us, and United Health supported us, and we bought laptops. And so this way we decided that we would be very interested to get students from the high school who are bilingual to come in and help our elders, help them with basic computer skills, sort of an intergeneration program. So the elders are learning basic computer skills, and our youth are learning, basically practicing their Portuguese. So the program is extremely wonderful. It's being done being done by volunteers at the present time. And one of the projects of our elders is that they might have a third grade education, but they have, some of our elders we noticed within the group, there was a lot of poetry in their hearts. So we decided to write their poems, and we wanted to make sure that it was all original poems. So we, Margarita helped us. Margarita Rosa helped us. Making sure that they were not being plagiarized. They weren't plagiarized. So making sure that these poems were all authentic, and which they were. And so we approached again. I asked for money so we could publish the books. And the name of the book is Recordando e Vivendo, Remembering and Living, and it's a subgroup of our social group. And now we're actually having a book. We launched the book, and we're having a book signing Thursday at Casa da Saudade from 5 till 8, and the authors of our groups are going to be there to sign the books. And it's all about recognizing that even though our elders, we want to validate them. A lot of these elders, majority, I would say 99% of our elders in our group were the first ones to immigrate, to give their children a better life. So I feel it's our responsibility to recognize and thank them for the sacrifices that they made, and at the same time validate them, because there's so much that we can learn from them. And the poetry book is just one of the projects.
Yeah, no, and the reason I'm saying that that it's good and maybe something's going to come out of here is because I don't know if you know, but our neighborhood association purchased an old school, an old building, and we are in the process of remodeling the building, and we're going to open a community center. Which we have a lot of nonprofit organizations, everything from baseball teams to Girl Scouts, and they're all approaching us to call home because they all meet here, meet there. They don't have one place.
Yeah.
But through that process, I became very involved with our senior center, and with our senior center. We pretty much ask them to what they want to do. They ask trips. They ask. We've been doing contests with them. The hat contest, the Portuguese soup contest, and all that stuff. You know, so all the good stuff. The dessert contest, and all the sweet rice and the queijadas and all of that. But we've been doing walking with them on the neighborhood, so we identify a good area that they will be safe for them to walk. We identify some stores that's good for them to go shopping. So we've been help them, and one thing that I do with them, I do a lot of bus trips. I do casino. We're having the end of this month. We have a Foxwood bus trip because they love to go over there. We do it twice a year. A bus trip there. We do visit the nursing homes for Christmas. So they do something during the year on the center. They do the gifts. It's all handmade. They do it right there, and then we visit for Christmas. We visit them. So what I see in here probably is an opportunity for us to trade.
I think that's great. I think one of the things that the bus trip, we've also done that. And last year, we took our elders, because there's the Day of Portugal at the State House. So we took our elders, I think it was about 50 of our elders, to the Day of Portugal at the State House, and they sat on the House chambers, and they participated in the event, and then there was a lunch. So one of the things that we also like doing is the fact that we are very much aware that they like to go to casinos and they like bus trips and things like that. So that's something that we could.
So what I'm thinking maybe is if we could fund a day that we can bus our seniors there to the
Immigrants Assistance Center. Yes.
There. They could spend a couple hours there.
I think that's perfect.
And I think they can teach the ladies there what they do down here.
And everybody learns from each other.
Exactly. And then maybe we can bring them from New Bedford here, and we kind of do a trade, so they will know another, because a lot of these ladies are Portuguese.
And they all have in common.
Exactly. So they speak the Portuguese, and you know, when they get together, they say
That's
it's a party.
great. But,
So-
well, that's the whole idea is they can, even like the poems, right? They can all relate to that. It's about the loss of a loved one. It's about immigration. It's about their country. It's all feelings that they have in emotion. And it also brings it brings up their intellect. Which is very, very important. So that is, I can see that working perfectly. We're actually, another project that we're working in the spring is the gardens. A lot of our Portuguese elders, we have gardens in our backyard. It's in our blood.
Yes.
So now everyone's talking about gardens. Well, the Portuguese have had gardens forever. So one of the things we want to also expose is we want to do a documentary in the spring on Portuguese gardens. So there's all these other projects that we are doing the elders, and I can see definitely because they're very similar. I mean, it's the Portuguese community.
Yes, and it's two different communities, but maybe we could put them in contact, you know, with each other, and definitely they will learn from each other.
Yeah, because one of the things that we do is since we also, aside from a very good friend of mine, is an artist. So she's a Portuguese, and so she goes in and does art with them, and it's all for free. And you know, Julia Vitorino, she's an amazing artist, so she does that. And one of the things that is also important to mention is that we also use our Portuguese elder group as a platform to do a lot of education. So we do a lot of education about heart diseases, diabetes, chronic diseases, balance. So since we already have, every month we have nurses from South Coast Hospital, they'll go in and do hypertension screenings, flu shots, and we're actually putting together every year we also have an annual health fair, but every month we have these nurses that come in because it's like their elders are there, so let's really, you know, do the best we can as far as educating them about these different chronic diseases and heart diseases and all of that. So that's something that we also work very closely with UMass Dartmouth, the nursing program. So we have nurses, sometimes student nurses, that come in. We've done a lot of work on cancer screenings and all of that.
I believe they have nurses coming in for blood pressure stuff.
Yeah.
They have that at the center, and they're having Zumba classes too. They
Perfect. We're doing yoga. One of those things we're doing. We got the yoga mats and things like that.
I think it's some similar.
It's very
on the
similar,
two centers,
and it's very
on the
similar,
two
and I think it makes sense for the people from Fall River come to New Bedford, from New Bedford, and I think it's a good thing. And we also used to, for many years, put together a Portuguese elder conference, and I think that there's so much that we can do with our elders because we really need to validate them. And as they're getting old, especially majority of them are women because their husbands have passed. Even not to say we have some men, but the majority are women, and they knit, they crochet, and they expose their amazing talents, and so I think it's all about validating, and we have, and I feel like it's our responsibility as being to validate our elders.
And at the center we have we've been having a good crowd.
Yeah, we have about 45 elders that have signed up.
Yeah, they have a good crowd, and I have to say that from the 3 or 4 centers that we have in Fall River, this one probably it's the more active. I think because we have somehow we connect the neighborhood group with them, and we make that possible. One of the things that we do for Day of Portugal, we bring them out and we give them history on the monuments. We have monuments in Fall River dedicated to the Portuguese community. We visit them with them. Definitely, Day of Portugal in P-Town. You know, they love to go to P-Town for that Day of Portugal. The food is great, the music, they like the procession there, the ceremony from the church. So every year I have to put it in January. I put the date in for the bus, so make sure we
Maybe you could take them to the Day of Portugal at the State House, because that's important for them too. Because it's their house, you know what I mean? These elected officials, I think it's important, and then have a luncheon, and it's so, and they were so excited. So I think that's a great opportunity that maybe we can just get them together and bring them all to the State House.
I think so. I think so. So on the center. regularly, besides the programs for the elderly, what is the center, gives back?
Okay, well, we have, like I said, we talked about the youth, we talked about families and individuals, we talk about the elders. We also have a program in high schools. In 2009, we noticed that the high school dropout in New Bedford was pretty high. Majority of the kids that were dropping out were children whom English was not the first language. So I created this project called the Amigos Project, a multilingual international guidance outreach services. And with the Amigos Project, the goal of the project was to implement them in schools to provide language support and get these non-English speaking families to be engaged in the children's education or to become advocates for their children's education. So we created this project in 2009, and we were placed at Roosevelt Middle School. And the reason why in Roosevelt in 2001 was because Roosevelt was the middle school that had the English immersion program. And at that time, 96% of their staff did not speak another language. The nurses didn't speak a language. So their language, there was a language barrier that was going on, and a lot of the families felt completely disconnected with these kids, and many times the kids were getting in trouble for issues that could have been very well resolved if somebody could explain to them in their language, because they were limited English speakers, because they were English language learners. So we created the project and put it at the school. One of the things that we realized is the impact of the project. Within months, they kept seeing how now, because we had people that could speak the language, could communicate with the parents, could call the parents when activities at the school were happening, or even with issues that were going on in the school, they could have somebody translate. And a lot of these challenges were alleviated because of the language. So that Amigos project was put at Roosevelt, then was put at New Bedford High School. We went to New Bedford High School, and at Hayden McFadden, been in there for 4 years. And fortunately, due to lack of funding, the project at Roosevelt we're not there anymore. Hopefully, I can get some funding so we can go back, because there's a tremendous need, especially with the ELL students in the New Bedford school department, just like I'm pretty sure in Fall River too. So I think the Amigos project, so we're in schools to provide language support and family engagement. So presently we're into different schools. So that's one of the things. One of the things that we want to make sure too is that we have ESOL classes. So we provide ESOL classes 3 days a week, in mornings and in the evenings, and we also have on Saturdays the classes. And our ESOL classes are really important because we want to make sure that people learn how to speak English, but once they learn how to speak English, we integrate the citizenship curriculum into the classroom. For those who qualify to be applying for citizenship, we want to make sure that they become U.S. citizens. So our English classes are we integrate the citizenship curriculum. About 2 years ago, the center we are accredited by the Board of Immigration Appeals. The center is accredited and I'm recognized, which means that for past 2 years we've already had 2 citizenship swearing-ins in the classroom. So our classrooms turns into a courtroom, and we have a judge come in, immigration comes in, and we've had 2 swearing-ins already, and so we're hoping to have another one. So every 6 months we've been having swearing-ins, because I think it's very important that we make sure that our community, for those that qualify, become U.S. citizens to protect them against immigrations.
I have to bring you back when we do our Portuguese show, and I want us to basically talk about immigration. The 5 minutes that we have left on our show tonight, you've been involved in helping people become citizens and all of that. Where you think that we are? Where you think we're going? Resolve? How are you seeing this problem resolved soon? Now with this, every president campaign that comes on the table, and then it's pushed to the side. So
okay, first of all, I've been doing this for 32 years. I've been executive director since 1996, and immigration reform is used constantly by the Democrats and the Republicans. Okay, so I see them constantly using as a political football during elections. Once they get elected, nothing happens. And I've become very skeptical about anything about immigration reform, because when President Obama got elected, I thought maybe there's a chance. I actually believed that there was a slight chance that something was going to happen. And here we are, another elections are coming up, and nothing happened. So I've been because I've been observing this, and I've been in this for so many years, immigration reform. I don't think immigration reform. I'm not, maybe with the new president, maybe they'll talk about it again, but I'm not sure if anything will ever happen, because there's a lot of companies, and a lot of big companies, that are making a lot of money. It becomes about economics, about people who are here, let's just say, undocumented. So if these big companies are putting money into these campaigns, so they can talk about immigration reform, at the end of the day, it's just talk, because nothing is happening. And there's got to be, and especially as you probably have heard, and I'm sure our listeners have heard that, our viewers, that they keep talking about the 12 million undocumented population. 12 million. Well, 60% have come through the border, right? The other 40% are people that have come with a visitor's visa and stayed, or they come in as students and stay. So that's the other 40%. So everybody's talking about securing the border, but we also need to understand that the other 40% of the undocumented population are people that came in as the 90-day visa, or came in as a visitor visa, or a student visa, and stayed. So they're undocumented just like everybody else. So talking about the border.
Any better chances for those that came legal and became illegal versus those that became illegal?
Okay, well, I think the difference is somebody, like, for example, and I'm going to use this as an people that come in, and I'm going to say Portugal is one of the countries. People come in for 90 days. Well, they come in for 90 days. After 90 days, they got to go back.
Yes.
Okay, so once you overstay, you are illegal, undocumented, whatever. You are in the same category as the people who cross the border.
So no difference between...
No, those two categories. No.
It's the same.
They're all undocumented.
So when comes in front of, when comes on the table is
exactly. They might, because they overstayed, they automatically, even if you overstay, automatically they are illegal. They're undocumented. And what happens is they can leave, but they could never. The people that have overstayed, they could never come back into the United States. So they're in the same category. When we talk about 12 million, we're talking about combination of both. The people who have crossed the border, or people who were overstayed.
I believe that that number could double.
I think.
Do you believe it?
Yeah, I think so too.
I believe it.
I think.
And it's the end of one more show. Like always, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Thank you, Alan, for Helena, for coming. And we'll see you next week. And Helena will come back again for our Portuguese show so we can address immigration. Thank you.
Thank you.